What's the one thing you regret doing for your wedding day? Getting a friend to video. It's crap. Seems like most people's regret can be drilled down into doing what their parents wanted them to do. Well, we could have had the wedding in fall 2019. But my wife wanted more time to make sure everything was perfect. So we decided to have it in April 2020. Letting the photographer dictate where we should be for the entire night. Going back, I would have told him, do all the photo poses you want in the first hour, then leave us alone. Also would have had someone walk around with us when we said hi to each table to help us get out of drawn-out conversations to make it go faster. Not exactly a regret, but just a reminder to keep things in perspective. Looking at my grandmother's wedding photos, she pointed out her bridesmaids wearing matching hats. She remembered these hats were important and there was some big to-do about them. For the life of her, she couldn't remember what exactly, and you certainly couldn't tell from the pictures. Just remember that when you're having heated debates over the correct shade of blue for the napkins. Wearing heels. Also letting my sister-in-law convince me to stay at her house the night before instead of a hotel. I slept on a tiny, uncomfortable futon with my giant future husband, and slept maybe an hour. Letting my ex-Mill dictate pretty much everything. It stopped being our wedding and became her wedding. And she is crazy. The whole wedding was no longer focused on my wife and I, but my Mill handing my wife off to me. Which is really ironic because after that moment Mill became even more controlling. Some things she did. 1. She had a mommy-daughter dance. 2. Made an 30-minute long speech about raising my wife, including playing several inappropriate baby videos. 3. Made a toast to herself. 4. Cut the cake with my wife. 5. Tossed the bouquet herself. 6. Tried to outcast my small family. Party of 6. To the corner. 7. Departed the wedding in our limo with us. 8. This is the weirdest one. The bridal lingerie literally said, "Mommy's girl." The wedding was ruined for me. The worst part. It set a precedent that my Mill can do whatever she wanted in our relationship and my wife would always choose her side. This eventually caused a split after Mill spanked the hell out of my daughter and my wife took her side. Letting a homeless guy into our reception venue to use the restroom. Half-hour later. He's still in there. A few of my guests jimmied the door open and found him passed out on heroin. My husband and I went off alone to be married in the woods. No regrets on that. But I regret not going further off trail for the actual vow exchange. A lady on horseback yelled at me that the white thing on your head is scaring my horse. Hiring a shitty photographer. At the end of the day, your photos are the only tangible thing you pay for. In all honesty, I regret dancing so much. We danced so much. We forgot to go around to individually thank everyone for coming. They all came to us on the dance floor to say hello. 10 out of 10 still dancing. Tiny wedding in a beautiful state park. I forgot the rings in the car and my dad was kind enough to jog back and get them. That's the only regret I have for that day. Removed. Actually, it's not doing something. My wife's uncle, as our wedding gift, hired the DJ. I wanted to talk to the DJ to make sure that he'd have the songs we wanted. Don't worry about it, he has everything. So I didn't. Don't get me wrong, he did a good job, it's just that he had every song but the couple that meant something to us. Getting separated from my wife while at the wedding. She went to the bathroom and then got swarmed by friends and family and she disappeared what seemed like hours. Also, in general, getting pulled away from each other. When I would get a drink or talk to someone. The reason I regret it is because my wife looked so absolutely stunning that day and I just wanted to look at her the entire time. My wife is still hot, but something about that dress. Picking the longest song ever for a first dance. Shaving my pubes. A tight suit. Hot weather and an itchy scrotum are a recipe for disaster. Getting a shitty photographer my mom recommended. Someone from her church. As we're taking pre-wedding pictures. Part of the wedding picture package. I asked him during one of the breaks what got him into photography. He answered, "It's just something to do while I try to open my restaurant." That should have been the red flag. Not eloping and leaving my mother-in-law in the dark. I could have had hair and makeup done. Could have had the dress of my dreams. And may even have pictures on my walls from a day I loved. I had none of those things and it still hurts. Not eloping. Our wedding was relatively small and inexpensive. Less than 10K. Less than 60 guests. But we could have spent that money on a sweet beach elopement and doubled up our honeymoon to be 2 weeks. Having won. The marriage was enough for us, but we were pressured into having a wedding. It was fine, I guess. But I wish we would have just gone on a better, longer honeymoon. My wife and I had a couple try and crash our wedding during the reception. Looking back, I might have just let them stay. Not wearing sunscreen. As it turns out, the rules don't change because it's a special day. As it turned out, getting married. I absolutely adored my wedding. If I would change one thing though, it would have been to hire a hair and makeup artist. My mill did my hair and it was fine, and I did my own makeup and it was fine. But I wish I had just let myself spend that little bit extra on myself looking back. Even though we did get caught in the rain, so it all would have been ruined the same either way, haha. Made for a fabulous waterfall photo though. Stuffing cake in my wife's face. No exaggeration. I regret it to this day. One of the traits of a successful marriage is to protect your spouse. With words. With your actions. Protect in this case has the meaning of upholding their dignity, their honor, etc. Shoving cake in their face is not doing any of that, and it's very, very public. Don't do it. Plus it messed with her makeup. I really wish I hadn't. Going into labor. I would move speeches to before dinner is served. People are quicker when they're hungry and not drunk yet. I personally wouldn't bother with the first dance. We're not dancers. It was really fucking awkward. The one thing I would recommend to everyone is having party bombs, like mini indoor firework, and inside there's silly stuff to play with. We had groups of people from different places who didn't know each other. It was a brilliant icebreaker and so much fun. I'm going to thoroughly search these comments as I'm due to get married in 11 months. Well, not the wedding day precisely. But the next day. A. Fuck Carnival Cruises, and B. What idiot books their honeymoon travel requiring them to get up at 6 a.m. the day after the wedding? Oh wait, us. We're the idiots. Other than that, my wife is a phenomenal planner, so our only real regret day of and after was relying on other people for key points of transportation. My best man was an hour late picking me up. Unclench. I planned on being there hours early to help the vendors set up. So I wasn't anywhere close to late for the wedding. Then my parents were late getting us to the airport for our honeymoon flight, and we almost missed the flight, and B. the bus to the cruise line because of delays. Shout out to the limo driver with the 1920s rolls who was driving my wife and the bridesmaids mill before the wedding. And the two of us after. Though. He and the car were top notch. Things we did not regret. 1. Not overspending on flowers. Our florist was amazing at working within a fairly tight budget, giving her a dollar range and very general color theme instead of demanding specific flowers paid incredible dividends. She was able to build amazing displays that weren't very expensive at all and tied in beautifully to the venue. The only thing my wife really had her heart set on was mango calla lilies for her bridal bouquet. But we gave orange roses to the bridesmaids and everything looked brilliant. 2. Getting the drink upgrade package. Venue specific, but the difference between full open bar versus 3 bottles of wine on each table and cash bar was like $3 per guest. Kind of a no-brainer. 3. Venue. To each their own. But if you're near any kind of wine country, it's shocking how reasonable prices are for events. Competition in a free market occasionally does work for consumers. Rustic stacked stone barrel house with outdoor string lighting. Full catering and the ambience of a vineyard in late September. All for about $10,000 all-inclusive. Beat the hell out of the local golf courses, Elks Lodge, and other venues we looked at in terms of both absolute price and what we got for our money. 4. A great DJ. Seriously. Whoever DJs is going to be more than half of the time your guests remember. Get some personality and someone you can count on to lead the event. I had a slight advantage there since I used to work as an event DJ and hired the guy I used to work for. I completely misread my spouse's playfulness and shoved cake into her face, going way up her nose. A decade later I can still hear the groans of disappointment from everyone nearby. I regret not turning around to watch my wife walk down the aisle. It was an outdoor wedding with no music. And I was told to stare at the nearby ruins so I didn't accidentally see my wife as she made her way to the back of where we had the ceremony. With no cue. I had no idea when to turn until she tapped me on the shoulder and giggled a small hi. Her dress was amazing. And the ceremony went well amidst a surprise downpour. 2 hours earlier than expected. But I really wish I had been able to watch her walk the aisle. Thinking it was so important to get all of my family there. In retrospect, those that had to be convinced and accommodated shouldn't have been there. Not losing the 20 pounds I was supposed to lose.